Hey y'all, so I'm going to talk about the new moon in Aquarius, right? The new moon is going to be on February 1st, and it's going to be in Aquarius, which means the sun and moon are sitting next to each other, right? If you look at planetwatcher.com, you'll be able to see exactly what a new moon looks like. This part of the moon cycle is all about planting those seeds, as y'all probably already know. The thing is, what are we planting seeds in? So Aquarius is all about that revolution. It's about the future. It's about the higher mind. And we're seeing that this new moon is also very close to Saturn, which is at 15 degrees. So what's really happening with that, right? We have the ego or the identity. We have the inner emotions, which is the moon. And then we have this governing force, which is Saturn, next to it all. There is a lot that is going to be resolved, right? And made new with this new moon. So one of the things I want to do first, though, is read The Inside Degrees by Elias Lonsdale for Aquarius 12 degrees, which is where the new moon is going to be at. It's called A Heated Argument Turns into Laughter. Tension and release. Contraction and expansion. The breath of the mind resolving its dualities. In order to make it possible for radical truths and significant realizations to come through, you must first karmically dramatize inside the ego mind and outside as well. The unbearable tension between opposing points of view. Right? So let's stop right there. Tension and release. Now with this Venus retrograde that we have been feeling for a while, which on the 29th is going direct, right? This Venus retrograde on top of the Mercury retrograde, which started in Aquarius, was all about our ideals of how we see our vision playing out, what we see happening for us, the things that we're really trying to change and revolutionize in our own world, right? And innovate. The change that we desperately see ourselves living, but sometimes feel that distance in between the vision and where we're at right now. There's been a lot of tension within that concept playing out within the relationships of your life, whether that be your romantic relationship, friendships, etc. So, just know that with these retrogrades, the tension was obviously there for a reason. You're not walling out. You're not the only one. You're going through the ringer to really understand the differences between you and everybody else around you, right? You have to understand the differences in order to become whole with other people without losing yourself in other people. So we have to remember all of the times in the past where we may have lost ourselves, where we may have given up our own idea of what we wanted for our future just to have a void filled in the current moment, right? And all of those things, all of those triggers from the past have come up a lot with these retrogrades and this Capricorn Aquarius season, which is inherently very kind of serious in nature, right? Which it's trying to get us to put in the work, especially next to Saturn in Aquarius, which is all about those restrictions around living the life that we want to, and seeing how sometimes the vision has to change, that there is some needed updates to that we think we play a certain role, but in reality, we don't actually play the role that we kind of want to or are expected to, either by society or other people, etc., etc. So there has been a lot of contraction within that Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, and what's happening as Venus first is going direct on the 29th, we're feeling a little bit more of that expansion in love. We're going from this time of arguments into literal laughter, that we can really laugh about some of these things. And it's not easy to do, right? It's easy to talk about after the fact. It's easy to think about before you get into it. But when you really get triggered, you feel this sense of heaviness weigh on you. That's Saturn. That's that Saturn presence, heavy. right? Large, dry. And you have to learn how to alchemize those feelings. You cannot ignore them. Sometimes with the Aquarius energy, we see where we detach and we forget and we ignore and we move on. But the truth is, it's always right beneath the surface. So how are we resolving the dualities, right? Well, we're resolving those dualities, and we're, as it says, making possible room for radical truth, right? And all of these realizations, which really is Aquarius, they expect there to be some significant downloads. Allow yourself to write. Allow yourself to not even need to understand it all, but just know that inherently you do know. There's something that you know, which is what Aquarius stands for, the I know. And there is something that wants to come inside, but we had to see to the extent of where our ego really needs to be healed, and we need to be really real with ourselves, right? Don't take any of the criticism that you've gotten and just throw it back. There's no point in that. Allow there to be space for someone to say what they want to say, regardless of right and wrong, which sometimes the Aquarius thinking sometimes can be very trapped within that. Well, this is right and this is wrong, which then really just continues to play out that duality between you and everyone else. The truth is that the truth is subjective, and it stands without needing to be argued or disputed or debated, right? The truth is the truth, and it will always come back to the surface. But you have to learn how to dissolve that duality within yourself when you're feeling it, even if it's triggered by the mirror images of other people around you. So, dramatizing inside the ego mind and outside as well, right? The drama is there for a reason. Aquarius writes the drama that Leo plays out. So don't think that Aquarius is higher than the drama. The truth is, Aquarius is the one who kind of plots on that drama, but just from above, right? They see all the little details and they're able to spin that into a very, very interesting story. The unbearable tension between opposing points of view. That is what we're bringing whole on this new moon. In a way where, once again, there's no winning and there's no losing. There's absolutely no winning and losing. When people get caught up in that mentality of like, well, I won this and et cetera, then everything becomes a game of just how do you win the next thing, without thinking like, how do I actually work with the person in front of me? How do I mend these ideas that are so vastly different? Because it's pointless. The truth is, Aquarius at its highest is love, is friendship. And in friendship, you're not always on the same page, right? But you're still going to have love, and you're still going to give people room to be themselves. So we're learning something big, and I'll continue. You enter upon disputes, advocate positions, set up heroes and villains, and then when your whole inner and outer world is packed with dilemmas, problems, arguments, and battles, you become ready to seek out synthesis, to enter upon a cycle of restoring wholeness. Usually, you're only actually attempting to be whole because of all of the disruption, because of all the battles, because of all the separation. So, in relationships, it comes up so often. In ourselves, it comes up every day. Where are we fighting ourselves when we could just be integrating this sense of like, I'm not always going to feel this way. Life isn't so rigid. We need to open up, right? If we are open, then we can become whole because we allow the parts of ourselves that we're trying to shun away from us in, and then we're one with the whole. During your experimental years, spice means everything. But during your maturity, there is no further mileage to be had in turning anything against anything else. No further mileage. There's no more movement to gain when you're turning one thing against something else. Absolutely none, right? But yeah, during your experimental years, when you're like in your 20s and you're growing up and you're fighting back and you're telling people, this is how I feel, don't tell me who I am, that has been the vibe. And that's what we've been mentally, because of Mercury retrograde too, thinking back on and playing out so subconsciously. So pay attention to where you've been playing that out. Because do you want to be in this state of, that young mind forever? Aquarius and Capricorn, those are older, more mature minds, right? That have a lot of experience. And this is what experience essentially teaches you. So we are going to be ready to resolve a lot, because we're stepping into a very unsettling time. It's the truth, right? We're going to hit America's Pluto return on February 22nd, 2022. We got big energy that we need to be solid for, because if there are these little disruptions in your life within people, these little rifts, when the world seems to be falling down around you again, you're going to have to also deal with that on top of it. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to know that it's all good, that there's peace, that there is some sort of harmony, and that there's no reason to fuel the fires, right? Getting it that you made it all up in the first place, and that the rational mind delights in controversy, but has its limits. When resolution comes, everything looks different. All of life turns around, and most particularly, your relation to yourself changes from the critic into the friend and respectful ally of your own inward intentions. This is where we're coming to for this new moon. We're cleaning the slate of everything and feeling into friendship again, regardless of all of the different dualities that have played out. We are cleaning that slate to a new place of friendship, a new place where we understand how to communicate our boundaries without turning people against themselves, right? Saturn is making us work at this, so no one is safe. We are all doing it, and you got to remember that. So the other thing is that Pluto, Mercury, pretty close together. So the conversations that we do end up having around this time, they're going to echo for a long time. And the realizations might come not in that moment, but it might come as a build up. With the days passing, we might have another spark, another realization, another thought. And that's why I keep saying, like, in order to really be whole, you do have to accept all of the differences around you. You have to be able to live within it. You have to allow it not to define your mood, more importantly, because your mood is so influential to how much movement and how much you end up creating in this lifetime. So experiment with your words, experiment with the way you communicate. And it's okay if things are still dramatic, quote unquote, and it's not getting through, right? Try to show the people in your life these videos. Maybe it helps, honestly, maybe it helps them understand that, you're not attacking them, and it gives you the reminder that they're not necessarily attacking you. And so there's resolve within ourselves that we're looking for, and we're starting from that point of friendship on this new moon, and then we're calling in everything that has to do with friendship. We're calling in laughter, we're calling in fun, we're calling in bonding, right? Bonding also has to do with like Saturn, which is like the bondage. So how do we bond? Do we feel indebted to the people around us, stuck? Or do we feel like, oh, we have this great time to really show each other the care that we would like to have in our relationships, right? And our friendships. Remember, we all come from different kinds of traumas. So we're not all perfect beings, and we all have to heal this as time goes on. And it takes the drama to come up in order for it to actually be healed. The other thing is Mars, Capricorn is in there. Venus is already direct at 11 degrees. And this is so much energy in these two signs, right? With also the square that the new moon is having to Uranus at 10 degrees. So this is a mark of a beginning for real, right? This is a mark of the beginning of feeling into the conversation with our higher self, into understanding that we can own the side of us that is the villain. The side of us that is the villain can even turn into the hero, right? So this doesn't mean, since you play the villain in other people's lives, that you get to use that as an excuse to continue being an a-hole about things, right? That's not really the point. But the point is knowing that someone might not like you, that someone might have that tension with you and not get over it, whatever's going on, but through that they will grow. You don't have to do anything but just represent the villain in their lives, right? You can continue to be yourself because you're opening up to knowing it's okay if I play the villain for you. I'm whole either way. And this is such a big theme, I think, in so many people's lives, that hero-villain concept, that it really is okay. I tell people this all the time in my readings because it comes up a lot when people are like, I don't want to be mean, I don't want to say this, I don't want to hurt their feelings. The truth is, you're going to have to hurt feelings in this lifetime. Do you remember the day you were born? Probably not. But guess what? Your mom was going through a shit ton of pain having you, right? So you hurt feelings. You've been hurting feelings since you were a child. Unconsciously, subconsciously, and most of the time you were just being truthful, because the truth does hurt. So we might have this sting of some things that hurt, but we have to remember to step back and see that big picture of what we're moving towards and what we are healing, and that we ultimately don't want to care about the things that we get hurt at right now. And everything we're doing is to get to that place where things don't hurt us anymore. So one of the things that I really want y'all to do is, especially with this Venus and kind of Mars square to Chiron, is write a letter to your past self. But what I mean by that is, today, right now, we are living the past of our future self, that vision of where we want to be. So put yourself into the future and write a letter to yourself right now, right? And talk about how much growth and expansion that you went under, right? How much the dramas of right now shaped everything that you accomplished from your future self, right? You could pick any time in the future. You know, when you've accomplished all these dreams, really sit down and write that out. Or just talk about it if you're not a writer, but I really suggest you write, because with all this air energy, like Aquarius energy, writing is super powerful. You're making it reality. Remember, Capricorn and Taurus, very earth signs. So this is reality. So when you're taking that pen and you're writing it down, which is also very contractual, like Saturn, you're kind of writing this contract of where you're gonna be, right? What's gonna be happening and how you feel about right now. Looking around at the people right now, being like, haha, those things didn't actually matter as much as I thought they did. I don't even remember the problems I was having right now as your future self, right? Most people do write a letter to like themselves as they were children or whatnot. But this is different. We want to use this as manifestation as well on the new moon. We want to resolve our issues. Some of the best ways to manifest is talking like it already happened, is living like you have already been healed. And the best ways to manifest is healing. Because when you heal those emotions and the emotions align and you're not triggered anymore, it means, oh, okay, we don't have to continue to materialize all of this duality in order for her or him or whoever to understand this lesson so that they can meet these certain people and actually have a connection, which takes them down a whole new rabbit hole of opportunities and brings them to their goals. Only you can work at your future. It depends on no one else. That's the other thing about like Capricorn seasons in general, right? Yes, you can come up with an idea and a plan and delegate it out to whoever's around and give them opportunities to help you out. But guess what? Everything you have accomplished in life is because you decided that you were going to do that thing. And then other people, community, Aquarius, right? They come because you've now built yourself there. So when you find yourself in a place where now you're not getting the opportunities and you don't know what's happening and you don't know why, it's because there's levels that you need to shift yourself to emotionally to get over certain things so you can meet the energy of what it is and who it is that you're supposed to be around, where you're supposed to be around when you're living this vision and this dream. You know, it's not complicated stuff, but it takes that everyday change. But this intention setting that you basically do on the new moon, since it has that square to Taurus, we are really seeing that we have to take these things serious in order to get the material, financial abundance that we're seeking in our lives. We're always seeking that, but we want to be really appreciative of what we already have by talking to ourselves from the future. Most likely, you think you need all this extra things, but you don't, right? All you really need is what the universe has already given you. You have a phone, you have a laptop, you have a pen and a paper. Hey, that's all you need. And Saturn is trying to show you, I'm not going to give you all this other stuff for you to get distracted with, right? Give you all this money for then you're going to go on a shopping spree and go on a vacation without there being an importance and a purpose. Right now, within the quote unquote drama or duality of your life, you have everything you need to get clear, Aquarius, new moon, getting clear on how you feel, right? And who you want to be, point blank, period. So, you know, we are in the beginning of the North Node Taurus. If you want to watch that video that I put up on this channel, go back to my playlist and check it out. Also follow me on n.razy on Instagram for weekly cosmic check-ins where I talk about the energy for the week. If you resonate with me, I will continue to update you guys. And you can check out my readings below.